What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Take 5. This is a very exciting video. I had this idea basically when Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness came out, and that was to get together a group of Arkansas creatives and just kind of share our thoughts around this film. So, you know, the initial idea was kind of the Multiverse of Podcast per se, but maybe we can call it the Multiverse of Arkansas. But please enjoy this video. It's myself with other creatives from Arkansas, and we're just kind of sharing all of our thoughts, what we liked, what we didn't like, where we see, you know, MCU going after Multiverse of Madness. And be sure to check out the description below. I'll link everyone's channel, even those creatives that I found in Arkansas that were not able to join on this video. I will link out to everyone. So please go check out. Some have YouTube channels, some have podcasts, some have movie review blogs. But yeah, go check them out. Give them some love, give them some support. It's greatly appreciated. And once again, to everyone that was able to join, thank you so much. I had a blast. I hope we can do this more in the future. So check it out. I may do another video myself around more thoughts around Doctor Strange. It's definitely a movie I want to go check out again, just to kind of really, I guess, kind of put a concrete, you know, stamp on some final thoughts I had around it. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. So I hope you have fun watching this. Check it out. Thanks so much. And we're recording. All right, let's do this thing. All right, this will be fun. What's up, everyone?
Hello.
Hey.
So we're going to talk Multiverse of Madness. Calling this the Multiverse of Podcast. Not everyone has a podcast, but maybe we should call it the Multiverse of Arkansas.
Multiverse of Arkansas Film Critics or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I like thinking about alternate Arkansas.
Alt Arkansas.
What other Arkansas are out there?
So cool. Well, thanks again for everyone for joining. We may have more join. The way this is set up is I'll be able to see and I'll just add them in. But yeah, we're just going to talk Doctor Strange. Pretty much everyone involved is a fan of films in general, either through writing a blog or a podcast or a YouTube channel. So I thought this would be fun for just all of us to get together, collab, and talk about Multiverse of Madness, because this was one of my anticipated films of the year. But before we get on with anything, I thought we could start off by just sharing, like, you know, who you are, either what your primary channel you share to, and maybe give like a sentence or two of your initial thoughts on Multiverse of Madness. And we'll just get this going because we actually have more people joining right now. So we'll just kind of go with things. We got still got more joining. Let's do this.
Oh.
Or we can wait for just a second. We have like two people. Yeah, we just had two people just join. So we can edit around this, or we can keep it raw. I don't know. I like keeping video raw, so I'll probably leave this in for my channel.
I guess I can go first.
You're welcome to go first.
Folks to hop in here. Yeah, my name's Andrew Sweatman. I do a podcast and a blog called Arthouse Garage. In general, I was a fan of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's in the Multiverse of Madness, or not and. The in and the and is throwing me off. I have some issues with it, but I had a really great time watching it, and I'd say it's like middle to a little higher than middle as far as MCU films goes for me.
All right.
Yeah. All right. I'm Saxon Whitehead. I run a blog called Dr. Popcorn. So I share reviews on there, written reviews. And I liked Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness quite a bit. It's definitely one of my, I don't know if I'd say it's one of my favorites necessarily, but I would say it's definitely one of the most excited I have been by an MCU movie in quite some time. Just because it's just so interesting. I think there's just some interesting things at play with how Sam Raimi, puts his little touch on the MCU. But I'm kind of with Andrew on this one. This is probably about more middle of the pack for me, maybe kind of a little higher up, but I generally liked it quite a bit.
Awesome.
I think it's your turn, Luke.
You sure you want me to go?
Yes.
What's up, everyone? My name's Luke Urban. I kind of collab jam on various things. I'm one of the agents on the Agents of M.A.C.E podcast. I do have a YouTube channel called Take 5, where I do my movie reviews. And I've recently joined the 241 Joe live show every Monday morning with Donovan and Joel, and Multiverse of Madness. This is the part where I need to run away. I did not like it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I saw your Letterboxd review.
Yeah.
I had a lot of issues with this one. A lot of issues, and you know, some of it is more or less my fault. I did catch spoilers before seeing it on a couple of platforms, and just generally had a bad theater experience. But you know, I had a lot of issues with this film, and we can talk about them. I do want to see it again. I feel like if I can see it again and be able to really focus versus getting distracted by too many people talking, I can probably maybe, you know, get more thoughts around it. But yeah, from what I've seen some other people say, like, I'm the polar opposite in terms of like which acts I liked and didn't like, and reasons why. But yeah, unfortunately, this is kind of near the bottom in terms of my overall ranking. Potentially could go up after I watch it again. Usually once I watch these films more than once, my rankings do tend to change over time. But yeah, I had a lot of issues with this one.
Okay. I'll hurry and go next because I'm also on Agents of M.A.C.E. Hi, I'm Elisa Kinswater. I'm a co-host, as I said, on Agents of M.A.C.E. I do not have other things to promote or appear on, so that list is very limited. As far as the film goes, I thought it was great. I thought that it was good as a Sam Raimi movie. I thought that the emotional stakes are really high. I love the performances. It was a hot mess. I recognize that, but I enjoyed watching that hot mess every second of it. So big thumbs up for me.
All right. Welcome, Keith and Johnny. Essentially what we're doing is just give a quick intro of who you are and promote, you know, what you work on, and give us your initial thoughts on Multiverse of Madness.
Okay, can you guys hear me? I'm a novice at this.
Yeah, can hear you just fine.
All right. Well, yeah, my name is Keith Garlington. I am a film critic with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, and also for my website, Keith in the Movies. Been doing the website for about 12, 13 years, something like that. And I've been with the Democrat Gazette for about a year now, doing film reviews for them. As far as the movie, I am in the group that went in with so-so expectations, mainly because of Raimi, and left on this kiddie high because of the absolute craziness that I saw on screen. Now, to give it a little context, I am one of those that was extremely into the MCU up into Endgame, somewhere around that area. This last phase, I've really had a hard time staying attached. And what I wanted from this was just something to kind of kick it in the pants, something to just sort of stir things up. I wanted Raimi to go bonkers, and he does. And I like what was said. It's a little crazy. It's a little nuts. It's a little messy. I mean, messy just seems like the perfect word for it. But at the same time, I sat there with a dumb smile on my face through this whole thing. I mean, I was laughing. I was just sort of shocked that the MCU gave him that much leeway to do some of the things he did. And my daughter went with me, a diehard Wanda fan. And I know, and what's funny is I know her storyline is one of the things that's got a lot of people talking. She loved it. She was sad by certain elements of it, which I think we should be, but she loved it. So watching her love it made me love it. So I loved it.
Awesome. Mr. Johnny.
Hey, how you guys doing? I am Johnnie Brannon. I am a local actor and filmmaker. I'm also co-run the Made in Arkansas, everything Made in Arkansas Film Festival, and the Made in Arkansas, I guess, Facebook page. Let's see here. Goodness. So I went with Donovan and a crew last Thursday, I guess, or might have been Friday, might have been Thursday. I can't remember. I don't know if Donovan's on or not, but so we all went and saw it, and yeah, I'm a big fan of Marvel films, but I'm not like big fan. But I wasn't sure what to expect. I was really curious to see if these spoilers that's leaked were going to be as they were, and I actually am one who can handle spoilers, and sometimes I'll peek at them, and I can enjoy the film just as much watching it the first time, knowing that there's spoilers, even if I would, didn't know the spoilers. So either or, and I can be very, very entertained. And like Luke's experience, we had talkers next to us, and no joke, anytime I go to a film with Donovan, there's always somebody talking, and I have to deal with it. But this time we actually shushed these kids, and they felt it. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just got through working on a film last week, so I immediately met up with Donovan, so I was still kind of trying to recuperate, and actually I dozed off a couple of times in the theater, and so there's a couple of moments in there, and I was kind of waking up and going, oh wow, this looks pretty cool. So I'm definitely gonna have to see it again, but I did enjoy what I did see, and I can't be articulate about how how much I enjoyed the film or how much I didn't enjoy the film. It's very neutral because of the talkers, and I would love to see it without anybody kind of running it. There was one guy in the theater I think he jumped up whenever, are you doing spoilers yet, or is it okay, or should I not say?
This is multiverse of craziness, so we can go in any form we want here.
Okay, when the Illuminati popped up, and the one guy that we all know that everybody has been thinking that was going to be, who, one guy in the theater jumped up, and he's like, yeah, and so that was it. And yeah, so I don't know. I can't give you an honest
opinion. Talking about Tom Cruise, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
The internet.
Yeah, totally. I did enjoy it. I'm definitely gonna have to see it again to give probably a better opinion of it. But I do want to see it again. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, like that was the big moment for me in my theater experience. And of course that's the moment that got spoiled. And I got to blame myself because when I saw that trending on Twitter, his name, I knew exactly what it was and still clicked on it. So
I managed to stay spoiler free on that, and I was surprised at I don't like holler at movies, but when that happened, I went, oh snap! Like I was really excited. I was surprised at myself at just how vocal I was when that moment popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife went into full applause, and we were all like.
I was so excited to see John Krasinski as Reed Richards and to see Haley Atwell getting to play a live action Captain Carter. I was thrilled at this. By the time Professor X comes around, I'm just like, okay, yeah, that might as well happen at this point as well.
I know there were so many moments I was like, please bring in Magneto. Please bring in Magneto. I just wanted more of that, especially because, this is where I'm curious on everyone's kind of thoughts. I mean, I wouldn't put this as Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is really a Wanda Scarlet Witch movie to me. Because that was the whole like kind of shift is like when you think about it, I mean, and this was kind of like the misleading thing where to me the madness was essentially she's just really mad and she's pushing her way through the multiverse because she wants to get her kids back. That's kind of my viewpoint on the madness aspect of it.
Yeah, that's one of, so again, I mostly really like this. I think as far as the script goes, it is messy, and there's a lot of moments where we're having to explain and kind of exposition hopping in. There's a lot of
Mhm.
how convenient that in this universe Christine is a multiverse expert. How perfect for this story to make things go smoothly. So there's a lot of those things where it's like this is a little clunky, like the mechanics of it are not perfect. Um, talking about multiverse movies also in theaters right now, everything everywhere all at once. People are comparing those. I don't think we necessarily have to compare them, but I do think in that movie, like the script is just top notch and like
Yeah.
everything works together organically. I know not everyone here is a huge fan of that. Looking at you, Keith, but the the yeah. So the script on this was a little clunky, but
Yeah.
I liked a lot of the ways that it surprised us. Like not only the Illuminati characters, but then the fact that they die really horrible, violent deaths within about 10 minutes of meeting them. I was surprised by that as well, and I thought that was just really cool. I was like, well, we're gonna
Yeah.
watch them all get murdered violently.
Definitely, like I would probably put that in the see. So where I'm reversed from I think most people is I just like the second act. I didn't really care for the first and third, and I've seen that the reverse for a lot where they didn't like the second act, but they love the first and third. Because when you say like, yeah, that's where, especially the third act, I thought that's where the script got extremely messy. For me, and then this is me, and this is just probably just how my brain works, is because like the biggest thing that I was curious on, and really this is like what we've talked about on the Agents of M.A.C.E. so much, is how is this going to play with the Disney Plus series, specifically WandaVision. And I felt like that is where the biggest letdown was. I think this movie could have been a little bit longer to really tie it into that series in a better way, especially for those that have never seen that series. Because it was hard for me to like get my brain to break away from that, because I was just kind of going through as I'm watching this of like, are people really going to follow this, know what's going on, or is it they just going to be scratching their heads through the entire film?
Yeah, and I think this is one of those just corners that the MCU has sort of backed themselves into,
Mm-hmm.
where pretty much everything is projecting forward.
Yeah.
There's really not a lot of room for a movie just to be kind of original and do this only because, and a lot of it is Marvel Studios. They've gotten fans already looking forward. Like during this one, it's all right, what's next? What's next? What's next? And it's just kind of become this, and I don't really know how they could avoid it, because it is just this thing building on top of it and then building another layer and another layer. And so I get what you're saying. I just think it's probably just the way it's going to be the rest of the way. I don't know. And that may be one of the reasons I'm kind of not as attached to it, because,
Yeah.
you do sort of see these, it's just sort of this chain of this connects to this, then it connects to this. Because I honestly, I don't think, I know I've heard some people say, yeah, you could go in cold and you would, you might miss a few things, but I honestly don't think I honestly don't understand how anyone could go in cold and really have a good grasp, especially emotionally, for this thing. This thing is built so much on that last little clip of WandaVision, that little stinger, and on what has taken place at the end of No Way Home. I mean, those things are just essential. And it's for me, and I do want to say this too about the exposition. I think Andrew's exactly right. I mean, it is heavy, but if there was ever a movie where, and I criticize a lot of over exposition a lot, but if there was ever a movie where it seemed to fit, I felt that in this one, it kind of did, because they were essentially as clueless as we were about a lot of these things. So they have a lot of these questions like, what on earth is this? Can you tell me, explain this to me? And again, it may be a little cop out, but and I am with Andrew also on the convenience thing. There's a lot of conveniences in this movie that just sort of makes the plot go the direction it needs. It's almost like they're sort of nudging the plot in this direction or that direction. But I don't know. It just, those things really didn't bother me in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I just maybe it was just because I was too sort of wound up in all the sort of the craziness that Raimi was doing. I mean, Luke, you mentioned the madness. To me, the madness is Sam Raimi. It's not really Wanda doing this or Strange doing that. It's just this goofy stuff that he actually had the guts to do. And, you know, to Marvel Studios credit, they let him do a lot of those things. So
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and so yeah, all those things. It did feel like it's pushing us to this end, and the ending was kind of worth it. Like it really was big and crazy, and we had Zombie Strange, and we had this music note fight, which I was like, "What in the world is going on?" I love it. I don't understand what's happening, but I love it. And yeah, I did. I thought and I think a lot of Marvel movies, the third act kind of is not always the best. Like that
Mhm.
sometimes it's a letdown, and this one I
Absolutely
thought was
agree.
really great. And
Yeah.
I was like, they built it up to something really good in this. But yeah, I think it's interesting. Like MCU is like kind of like a TV show now because it's always all these episodes within this thing, and it starts to fall into some of the same pitfalls that TV shows that are on for a long time, where like we're having to push forward. And it doesn't always make sense plot wise, but we have to keep going. And then also like characters become caricatures of themselves almost, and it's like in Doctor Strange 1 we had all this great character development where he's like less of a smart aleck and he's like a better person, but then we see in Avengers Endgame and all these one in the middle where he has to like do the Doctor Strange thing and kind of be a little smart ass, and like that's it feels like he reverted a little bit. But in this one I did like the, you know, are you happy, and that kind of came up again and again as a little bit of character development for him. But yeah, what you're saying about WandaVision, I think it really kind of undercuts WandaVision. And I think what you're saying, Luke, is right, that they could have connected that better.
Mhm.
For one thing, she's obsessed with her kids, but she doesn't care about Vision anymore. Like, they don't
Yeah.
even mention. Like, I think they could have somehow tied that in and said, like, I guess the book has made her go evil, and they should have maybe explained that or shown that a little bit more.
Right.
In some way, because presumably Vision's out there in some of these universes too.
You know, it's funny about that. I asked my wife about that, and she said, "Honey, I love you, but it's my kids first. I'm going after our kids." So I just sort of went, "Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
understand."
Maybe that's, you know, something women viewers connected to better, and I think that's interesting. But I did like that she was propelled to go like full. It was just kind of fun to watch her going like full witch and like
Mhm.
being in her, you know, righteous anger and
Mhm.
all of that, even though she takes things too far, all of that. But I thought that was fun, a fun aspect of it.
Maybe she's not going after Vision because technically there is still a Vision bopping around in the universe, and she's like,
True. Yeah.
I'll catch up with him later. I've got to find the babies first.
Yeah.
That kind of tracks.
Yeah. I was gonna say they could have done something where it's like she would be ashamed of who she's become or something like, and I think that could have been a good character moment for her. But they kind of skirted over it in a way that, but yeah, that's a good point that there is still some version of Vision out here in our universe too.
I would have been totally okay if they could have opened this with the last like moments of WandaVision when the kids are crying out for her, because right away you could get that emotional punch and you're like, okay, I get the reasoning why she's doing this. Like, but
yeah, they do depend on you to connect a few dots.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe a little too much.
Yeah. Her powers, the whole big first battle scene with the sorcerers was incredible.
It was
like her mind control. Like, I'm a big fan of Ultron, Age of Ultron, and just seeing these moments of like getting back into that element, I want more of that. That was so awesome.
Yeah, this one let her go. I mean, this one actually unleashed her. And we'd gotten, I'd mentioned this in my review of the movie, that how we had gotten little tastes of her power before, a little bit in WandaVision. That great line she gives in Endgame, where Thanos sort of arrogantly says, "I don't even know you," and she kind of gives him the little, "You will." And you know, she has him. If he doesn't just rain down the hellfire or whatever he calls basically his last opportunity, you know, she had him there. But this really lets her loose and kind of shows just how powerful she is, and I really appreciated that. I like that quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
it was exciting to get to see that finally. Like, my husband is not exactly the same level of Marvel fan that I am, but he goes with me to see everything. And one of his biggest beefs is he says once Wanda or Captain Marvel show up, it should all be over because they've got such ridiculous strong powers. They should be able to end anybody who's even around them. And we finally got to see that. Wanda did kind of take out like a whole monastery of people by herself. I mean, granted, she's evil now and all that, but still, we got to see it.
Oh yeah. Well, let's kind of go back into the multiverse aspect and talk about our brand new character. You want to share initial thoughts on America and just her capabilities and how they crafted her story?
Well, I was pretty lukewarm on her. I thought the performance was solid, but the whole time to me, she felt like sort of a plot device. She was there, had a very distinct purpose to be there, and that was to give Wanda someone to hunt and to give Strange someone to protect. She had this power that was, I guess multiverse hopping. I guess that will come in handy at some point. But I didn't think she was really given a whole lot of depth, and maybe that's because they are setting her up also for her TV show down the line. So I just sort of felt that she was a nice new character, but she really wasn't given a whole lot to do other than, be chased by Wanda and protected by Strange. And, she did come into her own a little bit at the end. But again, I think most of her was really kind of setting her up for her own show. Yeah. I was really hoping they do a little more with her, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Mr. Dr. Popcorn, we haven't heard from you.
I'm kind of with Keith for the most part. I think that the performance is great. I really like what I saw from her. I do think that she isn't given that much to do, but I kind of was okay with it just because, we're just being introduced to her. I feel like this is a character we're going to see much more of, obviously, in the TV show and probably in other films. So I was fine with that. But I think she's an interesting character. I think it's at least enough to kind of get people interested in, who this character is, finding out more about her in the future and all that. And so I think if that was the goal, they definitely achieved that, at least with me. But I'm definitely really curious to see where we go with this new character.
Yeah, I agree too. I thought that, I've never heard of her before. I don't follow comics and, not like I used to. But, seeing what she was able to do, I was like, that's a pretty powerful power if you have it. Mm-hmm. And for her to kind of pop in there and, you knew that she could probably do some damage with it if she knew, I guess, how to use it or what, but they kind of, left a lot of that out. But I agree, I'm curious to see what they're going to do on the TV show, if they, or whatever's going to happen there. I'll definitely watch it, but nah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah. Kind of seeing like they could probably utilize her in Quantum Mania maybe, or, if you especially if you follow a lot of the series, I'm kind of leaning towards Young Avengers. Like they'll have her, bring them all together and form the Young Avengers to fight someone. I don't know. Like one character I'm really wanting to get into the actual films is the Watcher. But it seems like the Watcher and then America kind of have that same ability where they can just go between all of these different universes. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with where I could see this character coming in next.
Maybe the biggest issue with America is that we don't get a firm enough grasp of her personality just yet. This is, like you guys said, just an introduction. And the only reason why that becomes somewhat of an issue for the film is that Doctor Strange gets almost immediately attached to her and starts protecting her, helping her, that kind of thing. And of course, it's partly because she's a kid, she's in trouble, she needs his help. But as the audience, it would be better, I think, if we had that same kind of emotional connection with her, which again is, they had a lot to cover here. The young actress does a great job. It's just maybe something that could have been fleshed out a little bit more in the script. It was one of the only things that I noticed that were kind of a negative for me watching this, was just I wanted to know more about America, like just as a character.
Yeah, they could definitely put her into a film or a series, because you know a lot of her story or struggle is separation from parents. So I could definitely see them doing a story where she's going to multiverse hop to find her family, and a bunch of crazy stuff could happen within that. Yeah, cool. Let's get into a little bit of spoiler stuff. What's everyone's thoughts on the Illuminati and just the various characters within the Illuminati?
Well, I thought it was an interesting selection.
Yeah.
I love seeing Black Bolt. I mean, I thought
That was really cool.
I thought he was just really, it was really cool to see him. And of course, he's, you know, a part of the comic Illuminati. So I was wondering if was he going to be there? And I'm sure he was. And I thought it was interesting who all else was there. But and of course, Stewart. I mean, I guess it may be more of a sentimental thing, but I love seeing Patrick Stewart.
Oh yeah.
He just, gosh, the guy just has this natural charisma. I could just sit there and listen to him read the phone book. I mean, when he came on, I mean, that was probably the loudest, even though we knew that had been the trailer blew the lid off that one, and he was on the red carpet and all that. Still, the loudest anyone got in the screening I was at was when he came out. You know, they show his hand on the side of the chair. He kind of comes out, and then he turns around. The camera comes out, and there he is. But no, I thought the Illuminati, I thought it was pretty cool. No Tom Cruise, but you know.
So yeah, I was gonna say real quick to add into this question, with all the various rumor mills, and I guess from all of that, is there any one particular actor character you would have loved to seen in this?
Me, I mean, I was fine with it because again, it's one of those deals. By that point, you're in. Yeah. They've done pulled you into another universe, so kind of anything goes. You know, who knows who their Illuminati is, so they can kind of manufacture whatever, you know, backstory there is to sort of bring all of these together. So I was fine with it. I thought it was fun, especially when they go down the line, and of course, end with Krasinski. I mean, and my wife's applause. Yeah, it was fun. I thought they did a good job with them, and of course, then is the short time they were with us. But yeah, I think they did a good job with that, and it fits that they would take him to the Illuminati. I thought they did a real good job of sort of explaining why they deemed him to be such a threat, because you know, our Strange. Yes, we know you, but look, we know our Strange. It's our Strange that has done a lot of bad things, and I kind of loved all of that. Kind of back and forth they had with him as he was trying to convince them, and they were saying, no, wait, we get you, but you know, and it kind of makes you want to know more about that history, to be honest, because and maybe that's the point. Maybe they wanted to get us more curious about these different dimensions that who knows if we'll be in them again sometimes.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like anytime they keep hinting, so like Disney owns Fox now, so are we gonna get the X-Men? Are we gonna get Fantastic Four? And they like in WandaVision, there's the actor who I can't remember who plays
Pietro.
Yes, Pietro, in the X-Men series. So there's like this fun hint, but it's like, oh, it's not really a connection because this is all in Wanda's head or whatever. And then same thing here. It's like, oh, it's another universe, and he's dead now, and so we're still not really getting the X-Men. So they keep, you know, opening this up and shutting it back down. So it's interesting to see what they'll end up doing if they end up doing more with it. But yeah, I really liked that whole sequence. Yeah, Captain Carter was incredible. She was the one I was like they're gonna kill all of them, and she was the one I was like, no, please don't, because she got like chopped in half. My goodness. But yeah, I thought that whole scene was really great. And I've seen the rumors that hoping that Emily Blunt could be in Fantastic Four as well. Whenever that, because assuming that John Krasinski is now part of this and he's going to be in it down the road, that's pretty exciting.
And we should talk a little bit about their deaths, because it's like Raimi probably sat at a table with guys and said, all right, let's come up with the craziest, most, just, I won't say the word, but bat crazy ways we can kill them. So, I mean, we've got, we'll make Reed Richards, we'll like shred him like cheese. And, we'll cut Peggy in half. And, I got to go. Let's make Black Bolt's brain literally explode inside of his skull.
That was like the most brutal moment up to
that
that
was pretty
point.
brutal.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Which I wonder if the Captain Carter was potentially a nod to What If, from the zombie episode when he gets cut in half.
Yeah, but probably so. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I have not watched What If. I knew she was in it, but I didn't know.
I didn't think about that.
She is in a few episodes, but there's a different episode with Steve, and that's how he dies. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. The Illuminati scene was great, but and like you guys, I was kind of thinking, well, maybe this X-Men is going to pop up or something like, or even just anywhere, like some door's going to open up and we're going to see Cyclops or something. But that whole death scene reminded me of that show on Amazon, Invincible. I don't know if you guys have watched that or not. And once it was happening, I was like, oh yeah, now we get to see some heroes die in a brutal way, and I thought it was pretty cool. And it just, it's like, with what Raimi does, and just kind of taking it to that next level of like, let's stir the pot a little bit and let's see what happens. And I know I might see more of this down the road, but maybe more rated R, Marvel films, but I don't know. I guess that's really the only way you're going to get away with, brutal murders of a superhero. But that's what you're, doing another.
He got away with quite a bit there.
He did. He did.
Didn't he?
And of course, he's. I'm kind of jumping away from this a little bit, but the whole evil. There's so much Evil Dead. References back and forth, and I love the Evil Dead, but it's like,
yes.
Oh, here's Donovan. Donovan's coming in.
Yeah, I love Evil Dead. And as far as casting goes, let me just say the one thing they could do to sell me on this phase, regardless of what they do, is if they could bring Fassbender back as Magneto.
Yeah.
I loved that. Wait a minute. No frowns. I loved Fassbender as Magneto. I mean, to me was my favorite casting from those X-Men movies. I thought him and McAvoy were really good. The rest.
Yeah. Agree there. Donovan, welcome to the multiverse. He's speechless.
As in another dimension.
He's thinking.
He's thinking, do I want to enter this dimension?
Or maybe there's just audio issues.
I was going to say too, while we're waiting on Donovan to figure out his audio issues, just the Sam Raimi-ness of it I thought was really great. Yeah, so the whatever demon sort of things we see at the end was fun, but even just like when we first see the city at the beginning in the kaiju fight thing with the squid or whatever it is, so I was like, something about the way this city is shot reminds me of Spider-Man. Like it just felt, I was like, am I in Spider-Man 2 right now? I was like, that's really cool. And like we see the cars flying across from the intersection and all of that. So I thought that was a kind of a cool thing. I loved the ending, like the final moment, not the credit scenes, but like the end of the film. I thought was a perfect like Raimi horror ending, kind of surprise little moment. But yeah, on all the crazy stuff. So that's another question this brings up is, so he says something about the souls of the damned, and then he like makes them into a cloak and all that, and then she says, go back to hell in that moment. So is this confirming that there is a hell in the MCU? And also, does every universe have its own hell, or is hell its own universe? These are the questions that I'm wondering about at this point.
Well, I feel like probably, yeah, especially after what kind of Moon Knight has given us.
I haven't finished Moon Knight, so feel free to spoil. I don't care. It's fine. But
well, where are you at in Moon Knight?
Episode 1. Half of episode 1.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Close. You're almost there.
Okay. Watch Moon Knight.
Right.
I really enjoy it, and you're gonna get to some really cool moments that are really gonna answer that question.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Donovan, do we have you? Do you have audio?
You have me. I'm
yes.
here.
Welcome. All right, go ahead. Let's give us a quick intro. And
Quick intro.
Just go ahead. And give us an intro, man.
Who
you
what
are,
do you do,
what your
and-
platform is.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I'm your host, Donovan. Oh, different podcast. Sorry. I'm Donovan Thompson, host Podcast 2 for 1. Daniel Wingfield. I want to hop on here and see all my friendly faces. I see Andrew, Luke. I see Johnnie motherfucking Brannon, and I see Elisa out here too. I don't know Keith though. Keith, I don't know you, so we need to connect sometime. Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And also, I see Sax on there as well. Yeah, Doctor Strange. Me and Daniel's review dropped earlier this morning. Like we said, we've been talking about this movie since day one, and the hype and the expectations were out of this world. And I think we kind of got a little Ralph Bonered again. What I mean by that is, our expectations were so high for WandaVision, for all the potential cameos and all the rumors that were happening, and week by week we were just foaming at the mouth. And I haven't felt that kind of like that water cooler talk in so long. And then we got Ralph Boner, and we kind of expectations got crumbled pretty quickly. And I feel like going into this with the reviews and everything else, that I kind of felt like, okay, my expectations are being a little tampered. I enjoyed the movie. I had a great time with it. It's got a lot of narrative flaws, in my opinion. And, it was fun. Sam Raimi, one of my favorite directors of all time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work in this movie. But I'm here for it. Again, there were some things that I'm not sure how spoilery we're getting with the movie. There were some things that I spoil out. Where's Tom Cruise Iron Man at?
Exactly. Thank you.
Where's he at?
Where was Wesley Snipes' Black Panther?
Oh man, I know. Anyway, I was so happy we got Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, and then having Black Bolt from the Inhumans TV show, that was like the biggest surprise for me. Big Black Bolt fan. And also I'm watching Star Trek Stranger Worlds, something like that. I'm watching that, and he's a Pike on it. So very happy with those additions, but they were a little too short for me. Again, I need my Eric Bana Hulk. I needed Edward Norton Hulk. I needed all the Secret Wars things we're going to get eventually. But anyway, that's my really quick rant on the movie.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being able to join.
Yeah, of course.
So we were essentially just basically talking about our favorite Illuminati moments, favorite Raimi moments.
I'm not a huge comic reader, so I don't really know, but like the music note fight thing again, I thought it was so cool. I love that they didn't explain it. Is that from a comic? Is there some precedence for that, or is it just completely out of left field?
Not that I know of. No, not from any particular comic. But that's one thing me and Daniel also talked about, was the cool thing about Doctor Strange that separates him from all the other villains or all the other heroes is the fact that you can have these bombastic, like him versus Thanos fight in Infinity War, which is probably like the coolest part of that movie. Like that fight, you can just do all these weird, crazy, multi-dimensional, this shit that doesn't even make fucking sense. Sorry, I'm not sure we can cuss on your pod, Luke.
Gotta edit bringing all of this now.
Oh, good. No, sorry,
all good.
Just all bleeps.
All good.
But like that's what Doctor Strange can do. He can do all this stuff, and you don't have to explain it. Some things you need to explain, like his arc, which is missing. But I do think like stuff like that, who cares? It's super cool. Danny Elfman come in and killed it. And I was very happy with that collaboration coming back since Spider-Man 2, actually. So
yeah, there's a few. I was gonna mention the music, a few like electric guitar cues at different moments. And I was like, this is so cool. I love those little moments in the score.
Yeah.
So Drew can't be here, but I'm gonna leave a note. So Drew, once you watch this, we got to do a fact check because he'll know the exact comic if this was referenced.
Oh, nice.
The music felt to me like Raimi saying, okay, Danny Elfman's going to tear this up. Like that was the whole concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so often the MCU soundtracks are not like the best in the world. Not always very memorable, but I thought this one was really a standout.
Yeah, they're really not. We've only had a few standouts. We've had Alan Silvestri come in with like the winter or first Avenger theme. He's done Avengers 1. He did Avengers 3 and 4. Danny Elfman actually did Age of Ultron, which I wasn't a huge fan of that score actually. But we've had a few good ones, Guardians of the Galaxy, but they really haven't really stood out. I think Michael Giacchino did Doctor Strange 1, which I actually do enjoy that score. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think they don't have super memorable stuff, but this one's pretty good, and I think I was pretty impressed with it.
So maybe we can talk about the kind of the ending of the film a little bit. Maybe our first or our mid-credit scene. Just thoughts on kind of what happened there and where, what's going on with Strange at this point, and where do you think this could be going? Especially with like we got another new actress joining the MCU world, which is she's playing Clea.
Mm-hmm. I got lots of thoughts. Well, at least
for
someone else
it.
go first, though. No, you guys go first.
I liked that. I didn't know who it was when she popped up. I was like, oh, I thought it might be Nova, because I know that's someone that's coming apparently, but apparently it's not her. So I have a lot to learn about Clea, but I was like, oh, cool, Charlize Theron is here. I did wonder. So I love the before those credits, like the final moment where Strange's eye pops open and just this blood curdling scream to end the movie. I loved that. But I am curious. He seems like at peace with it when we see him in the mid-credit scene. Do we think he's going to have to fight some internal demons, and because it's like, oh, is he going to go bad? It was kind of what I was thinking, but it seemed like he was fine. What do you all speculate about that? Do we think that's going to be an issue, or is that just something that he has now?
Yeah, I was a little curious too if it was like a side effect of his exposure, but then there was someone had pointed out that there was something that I'm trying to remember which movie it was in, but that anyway, that there had been some mention to him by gosh, I've hit a blank, who played not his mentor, but gosh, what's her name? Remember
The ancient one?
The ancient one, yeah.
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, Tilda Swinton. Well, she had made a comment or prophecy maybe in one of the movies where they were having a conversation about him opening his eye and there being some type of conversation like that, and which I didn't remember it. But in Clea, I haven't really read comics. I used to read them pretty hardcore, but I didn't read a lot of Strange. But I do remember her being a pretty close associate to him. I think they had a lot of. I think they worked together quite a bit, and you may be able to clarify that for me. But so when she popped up, and Darren's a great actress, I thought, well, this would be pretty cool. Those two things together. So I'm anxious to see what they do with it.
Yeah, traditionally in the comics, Clea, I think either she's the daughter of Dormammu, or she's like the niece of Dormammu, who we saw in Doctor Strange 1, right? He's kind of like the main arch nemesis of Doctor Strange, actually, in the comics. But Strange and Clea, it's its love interest. They end up getting married at some point in the comics as well. So it's something, obviously, they deal with the Christine issue, I guess, and the second one, so they're setting up the love interest for the third one. Have you guys talked about incursions and secret wars and all that stuff yet? Is that something that I miss out on?
No, we haven't talked about that.
Well, here's where it's going, everyone. So basically, in the comics, actually, there's the Illuminati, and they were formed to stop incursions. When two universes collide, which we saw that in this movie, right? We saw the Sinister Strange, and we saw like him dealing with the aftermath of failing from stopping an incursion. And what happens is, and there's multiple Secret War story arcs, but the one that they're probably going to draw from is the most recent one, where we have all these incursions happen. There's two universes left: the 616 universe, which in the comics is the main one, and the Ultimate Universe, which we had like Miles Morales and some other more modern takes on characters. So what happened is those two incursions happened, and there was basically Doctor Strange kind of pulled various different versions of characters into a place called Battle World. So he had like an army of Thors, multiple Spider-Men, all these different things. They were all kind of fighting for, basically in the comics, the ability to reboot the universe. But it's a really cool multi-universe storyline. It is the end game that we're kind of building towards here. And the Russo brothers have said multiple times, the directors of Winter Soldier, Civil War, and Avengers 3 and 4, they said, hey, we will come back for one thing, which is Secret Wars, because that was the comic that got us in the comics. Like, back in the day, that was the big splash that gave us inspiration, these big moments. And so I've been saying it for like 2.5 years, like 2-3 years now. I've been like, we're going Secret Wars. It's coming. It's Secret Wars. And then now we got the Illuminati. And so I 100% guarantee that's where we're heading. And it wouldn't surprise me that after we get Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which I'm pretty sure will have Namor in it, it could have Doctor Strange, like multiple kings kind of fighting for multiple different lands. I bet after that movie, the Doctor Strange will show up to whoever's the new head of Wakanda, which we don't know yet, of course. And it'll be like, hey, we should start a group called the Illuminati and Illuminati, and that will to stop the incursions, and that will kind of give us to the path to Secret Wars. And then we'll watch Secret Wars, then my head will explode in the theater, and then I will have completed everything I needed to do in my life. So that's kind of what will happen. Yeah.
So now I'm wondering if the next 2 animated Spider-Man films could lead into this as well, or potentially be what leads Miles Morales into the live action MCU.
I see that part. Yes. The first part, Sony has a stick up their ass. They think everything they do is just themselves. And then when they do something by themselves, it don't really pan out, a la Morbius. But I think that it's definitely an in-canon reason for the universes. I don't think Marvel or Sony will ever reference those movies and vice versa. I think Sony may reference the MCU, but the MCU won't reference the Into the Spider-Verse. No.
Interesting. Unless they can play nice. We never know.
It's possible.
It's possible. Yeah. Anything's possible.
Sure.
It's the multiverse.
Yeah.
We just need Jeremy Wright to show up as the Watcher and be like, look.
I would love it.
I'm just going to butt in and we're going to make all this work.
I want Jeremy Wright as the Watcher, live action in the MCU. I want it so bad. Yeah,
same.
100%.
Same.
Yeah.
As long as those things still make a lot of money, though, Sony's going to hang on for dear life. I mean,
100%.
That deal has, and Sony needs it. That's another thing too. I mean, they haven't been in the best financial shape for a while. So something like that really gives them, I don't know. I think they're desperate to hold on to it. That deal that they did with the Spider-Man movies in the MCU. I never would have thought that would happen though. So, who knows? Maybe they can see there is a lot more money to be made if we also maybe lend this here and lend this there. I don't know. It's a weird thing though.
It is, but I totally see it's kind of a weird situation because they've made so much money with No Way Home, and even Venom 1, they did really, really well financially. And 2 wasn't bad either considering the pandemic. But the big thing there is, you're right, Sony is kind of bleeding a little bit as a company as whole. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they're just holding on for dear life just to get their stocks up so they can sell the movie division. And if that happens, Disney's going to pounce. And then again, my head's going to explode and we'll be done. We'll be right with the universe again. So, give me Venom in the MCU, but like properly,
Properly, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, this is great. This is so much fun. So we've kind of hitting our hour mark. So, if anyone has any last thoughts to share around.
Well, I've got to ask everyone. I've got to ask this question.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about his arc in this movie? Because, again, I love Raimi-isms. I love Bruce Campbell. I love the visuals, all the cool stuff. But I felt like this is the big sticky point that me and Daniel had, was that at the end of it, what did Doctor Strange learn? He keeps getting asked, "What are you happy? What makes you happy?" He ends up getting a kind of a loose-ended response from Wong at the end of who cares as long as we have each other. And it's we didn't really end Doctor Strange somewhere different, I felt like, than when we started, which is kind of a big problem. So I'd like to hear from everybody. Did you guys feel like he learned anything, or did this movie justify him this existence for a Doctor Strange story? I don't know.
I think you're right that that's probably one of the problems with the script, and something Luke said earlier is that this really is more Wanda's movie, and I think that's probably true. And again, as there's more and more characters, it's something they're going to probably struggle with. Yeah, I know that I can see how they've tried to really set it up, and they kept out, "Are you happy? Are you happy?" at the beginning, and it doesn't really come to a satisfying conclusion. And I think in maybe that final moment where he's skipping out the door, maybe he's supposed to be oh, he's happy now, and then he of course has something horrifying happen as he's crossing the street. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's one of the weaker points.
Wouldn't it have been incredible if he walked into a dressing shop and come out and his collar was popped. He started dancing like Toby did in Spider-Man 3. That would have been incredible. That would have been incredible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go for it. Go ahead.
Okay. As far as his arc, I'm with you. That I thought the "Are you happy?" was a pretty interesting, it was an interesting question for that character especially. And it just seemed like everything that he encountered would make that question even, make it even a bigger question. And then they just sort of, like you said, he just sort of walked out and he was just like, all right. And they don't really give us a firm answer to that. They don't really take us to a place where we can even really figure out an answer for ourselves. It was just a question that was kind of asked. And then now he's ready, kind of what I was saying earlier. Now we're ready for the next thing. So instead of really taking him on a particular journey of discovery or anything like that, or moving him from point A to point B in terms of his character arc, they're just sort of looking forward what's next for the MCU. And but I will say this, I actually came into this movie a little frustrated with where his character was, because I wasn't a big fan of what they did with him in No Way Home, because I know it wasn't his movie. So to be fair, I don't want to criticize it too much there. But, here we have a guy who could, look through all infinite futures, look through every possibility and find the one that could beat Thanos. But then he can go in and do a little spell with Peter and not see, maybe there's a chance if I do this and he gets in here and gets in the way that I could basically shatter the multiverse and open them up and cause all of this. And then he gets locked into the mirror world, which he should be, controlling. He should be the guy there by a geometry problem, and he has to be. Didn't he have to be let out by Ned or something? It was just a weird way they handled him in that movie. So in this one, I did feel like he was kind of back to Doctor Strange. But it's a great point though. By the end, is he any place different than he was at the beginning? I mean, I think we're supposed to feel that way. I just don't think they really did much to show it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. There's a little nugget you had in there that I think is really fascinating, and that is there's that question of he's a guy who has seen 14 million different possibilities. And my favorite moment, like Doctor Strange moment, probably in the whole movie, was when he was sitting in the chapel watching Christine getting married, and his old doctor friend basically asked him, like, either it was his husband or friend or brother or something. And he was like, hey, was this the only option that could have happened? Like, I lost somebody because of the choice that you made. And like, he said it in an amazing fashion. Like, that was the only option. That was incredible. Like that right there was a movie. And I love that part. Like, I think those first 20 minutes was fantastic, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. For me, I really, really like the what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands.
It's great.
That episode is so emotionally impactful, and I thought it was so well for Doctor Strange. I would have loved to see more of that brought in. Just having that pain and agony he was going through over his love, like that's what made him happy. And there's a lot they could have done there. That's for me. But even like I got to bring this up because, I think the other thing that was kind of sprinkled in there was like, was it not the events in Loki that actually caused the core multiverse issue?
I've wondered that. It seems like Loki and Sylvie are the ones who actually broke the multiverse, and they have not addressed that. I mean, granted, they're in a pocket dimension or something, so they might not know that that's what's happened. But I keep expecting there to be some sort of tie-in with Loki and the TVA in these movies, and there hasn't been at all.
That's right. It's almost like they're waiting on Loki season 2, but nothing really else. But you would think we would definitely have some type of connection at some point, because that was a pretty big ending there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but so originally, without the pandemic, Doctor Strange 2 would have come out before Spider-Man No Way Home. Is that true?
Yeah,
I believe that that's true. And so in that case, maybe Loki and Multiverse here would have been more tied together. because I know they had to do a lot of reshoots on Spider-Man No Way Home, and so it's almost like, oh, we would have had a multiverse situation ready for Spider-Man, but because of the pandemic and this having to move around, it's like, oh, we have to make up this spell situation that, as Keith was saying, doesn't always make the most sense. And so you can see how circumstances outside of their control kind of maybe cause some of this. But yeah, I agree. It's been a bit clunky from project to project.
Yeah, Michael.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say Michael Waldron, the writer of Doctor Strange. He
That's
wrote Loki. He wrote season 1 of Loki, and
Mhm.
and yes, you're right. It's supposed to come out beforehand. Actually, America Chavez was supposed to be the Doctor Strange character in No Way Home, but they ended up getting
Oh, wow.
flipped to Doctor Strange.
Mm.
There's concept art of her opening up a star portal in Manhattan with Spider-Man. But yeah, it's interesting. Kevin Feige has come out and personally said that it's the events of Loki that's done this, but it's kind of weak whenever we have to infer from the showrunner essentially that this is what's happening. They really need to, and they will. They need to tie these things kind of together and give us some points of contact.
The new season of Loki does start shooting the first week of June.
Yeah, you're right.
And to their in their defense too, in the first, I guess you could say, from Iron Man to Endgame, what they were building towards wasn't as complex and layered and as probably as difficult to rein in and bring together as what they're trying to do now. So it worked really well, but it does seem like they're trying to do something even more audacious and bold with this, and hopefully they can pull it together. But so in their defense there, I mean, I think we again, not to beat a dead horse, but they're in that, just wait for what comes next mode. So I think it almost demands a patience to kind of see where all these pieces fit and all of that.
Definitely.
Johnnie Brannon, does Doctor Strange have an arc in this movie?
No.
Thank you.
Right.
No, Donovan, I was telling them whenever we started that, Luke didn't have a great experience because he had people talking in the theater, and of course, we had the two people sitting next to us.
Yeah,
I have to go see it again. I really do. There was a lot going on, I just got to go see it again. But yeah, I don't know. Then I can say yes. I think he did have a
Also, everyone, if you didn't know, if you watch a movie with Johnnie Brannon, it's guaranteed that there's going to be like a less than 10-year-old child or adult, really, that's just going to be either throwing popcorn, making obscene noise. It's like Johnny has a gift to absorb these people next to him during the movie experience. I don't know what it is, but it's incredible. So I don't know what
people
superpower.
My patience.
That's your superpower, Johnny.
It is.
You take it from the other theater so that other people can have great movie experiences.
It's going to turn me into a super villain when it's all over with. So
hey, if I was a few seats down the row I was on, I probably would have pulled that move where I would have just turned around and just stared at the people the whole time. Like, if y'all are going to talk, I'm just sit here and listen to you.
Carrie and I shushed them. So she gave them this death stare, and as soon as she did that, I looked right at them and I just shh. Then they got quiet and everybody heard it, and so it was like towards the end of the film, and they were just giggling through the whole thing. And now, no joke. Okay, so whenever Dead Strange was popping up and he was kind of leaning, and talking, it was kind of funny, and so the kids were kind of cackling at that. And I got a little tickled, and I thought, well, it is kind of funny. And because it's just like these really weird shots of it looked like Dead Strange is kind of like doing GQ, sitting there,
like a Weekend at Bernie's situation.
Yeah. But the kids just wouldn't stop. And then by that time, I think it was whenever the Wandas were having that moment, and I was like, come on, so we finally had it and had to shush those kids. But I'm getting wittier with my Facebook comments about how to handle people in movie theaters, so that always helps. Yeah.
There's a tiny baby arc for Doctor Strange. It's not much of one, but it's there because the whole movie is about him learning how to let go. That's Christine keeps saying that he always has to be holding the knife, so that's a thing about control. And of course, his temptation in the multiverse is that he wants there to be a happy ending for him and Christine. but there's not. And he eventually has to accept that there's no way that he's going to be able to make that happen. And then in the end credits, he's rewarded with having Charlize Theron show up for him. So again, it's not much of an arc, but it's kind of there. It's
right.
there.
It
It's not
is.
important, but it's there.
Basically pulled a 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah. It's moving from summer to autumn.
That's right.
That was a great question, Donovan.
Thank you, Luke.
You're welcome. Well, any other thoughts?
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce
That's it.
Campbell?
Yeah, Pizza
Yeah.
Papa.
I mean,
Ooh,
That's
speaking
my thought.
I
Bruce
found
Campbell.
someone on TikTok figured out like a recipe for those little pizza balls, so I'm gonna have to try to make.
Hell yeah!
That sounds so good, right?
Did you
I'll
guys
send that
know
to
about
everyone.
his original role in the movie? Have you guys talked about that yet?
no, we
No, I
haven't.
didn't know that.
Okay, so originally before the reshoots happened last summer, which added Mr. Fantastic, John Krasinski, and added Aaron Holt. I can't think of his name. The guy who played Inhumans. I can't think of his name at all.
Is it Anson Mount? Is that his name?
Anson
That's
Mount.
it. Anson Mount. I don't know what I just said, but that's correct. So originally, instead of Mr. Fantastic on the far left, it's going to be Balder the Brave, which is Thor's brother. So that's it's played by Bruce Campbell. But they nexted it, and partly because I'm sure because of all the hype that WandaVision created, and they end up adding Mr. Fantastic, and they changed a lot of other things too. But he was originally Balder the Brave. So fun facts for you.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into. I'm hoping that we'll release or at least John will release early conversations, because I want to know how early did they start talking with him about being Mr. Fantastic, and how much of just the fan hype pushed him to want to do it. Because this was such a big request from fans.
You guys may have already asked this. Do you guys think he's going to be Mr. Fantastic in 616 universe?
I'm assuming yes, and I very much hope so. I think it is really good casting.
I feel like he won't be personally.
I don't think he will
that's the
be.
question.
That's the question.
No idea. Yeah.
There is
one-off.
well, and again, see this. This is the thing I'm pushing myself to avoid, but I still get sucked in. But I heard this awesome fan theory related to Fantastic Four, related
Tom Cruise?
to not Tom Cruise, no,
Must
no,
be
but it was the line that
Hey, Tom Cruise. I want Tom Cruise in this fucking universe, this Iron Man. Just I want to say it loudly.
right,
Okay.
but it's essentially from Strange's comment of hey, didn't you peak in the '60s? And they're kind of comparing
period piece.
Yeah, they could be doing that, but there's some theories around that it's in the 60s, but they get into the quantum verse, and so potentially the next Ant-Man film is what's going to release them. So because when you're in the quantum verse, you don't really age, and so that may be how they get their abilities and they stay young. And
I didn't catch that line. That's interesting, because there was rumors years ago that that was the pitch for the movie, was that they were in the 50s or 60s, and they exactly what you just said, that's been a rumor for a couple of years now. I did not catch that line. That's fascinating. That's probably what's going to happen now. So
possibly,
and I bet Peyton Reed could direct it, because he's been foaming at the mouth to direct Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
and he's doing Quantumania, so he probably, who knows? I think he could hop off that one and go right into Fantastic Four. Yeah,
Fantastic Four film.
100%. Yeah, it's possible.
But isn't it also a big rumor that the Reed Richards is who bought Avengers Tower, and that's who they've been hitting at throughout all of these TV shows?
Yep, it has been. I'd love it. Do it. Give it to me.
He can be from the 60s and also be now and buy the building. We don't know.
Yeah. Time travel. No big deal.
Time
Not for
travel.
Mr.
Yeah.
Not for the smartest man in the universe.
Right. It's almost got to be something like that, because after everything that's happened in our MCU world, for Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four to exist, for them to just set those things out, it's kind of hard to believe. So yeah, is it time travel? Is it, how exactly are they going to bring them into the fray? I don't know.
Here's the biggest misstep this movie did, everyone. They didn't bring Michael Chiklis back as the Thing. That's the biggest misstep. Can you imagine? That would have been fucking incredible. That would have been awesome.
Instead of the Ultron Iron
Oh,
droids
man.
having the Thing
God dang.
escort you to the
That'd been so
Illuminati.
What? That's the thing, though. The Ultron bots are there. So me and Daniel thought about this. Daniel had this idea that, well, maybe since the Illuminati all got wiped out, that there's a Tony Stark in that universe. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go find whoever broken in my universe. And it could be Superior Iron Man, aka Tom Cruise. So
It
who's
could
the bad
be,
Iron Man?
or
Yeah.
or it's Reed that built them. Reed created Ultron.
Don't do that.
I'm
dude.
going to
Don't
do
crush
that.
my dreams.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'm
It's
standing
okay.
by my theory that there's going to be an in-universe Avengers movie where Tom Cruise is playing Tony Stark.
I'm
Just
just gonna
them all like go into the movies and be like, "This is a piece of crap" or something like that.
it's gonna. Oh, you think so? I mean, it's possible.
John
there's like
Stamos
even-
is going to be Winter Soldier.
That would be kind of incredible,
That'd be
honestly.
amazing.
That'd be incredible. There's rumors, not rumors, but there were talks with the writers or whoever in the last day or so that Tom Cruise wasn't not discussions, but like it was more of a scheduling issue. It wasn't really, like it's gonna happen, everyone. It's gonna happen.
It may happen. Yeah,
it's gonna happen. Too much fire, too much smoke, everyone.
A lot of smoke.
We'll tune in next time when we talk about Love and Thunder.
I'm in.
Okay, I'm in. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll show up on time next time. I promise.
I'm protesting the whole movie if Loki's not in it.
Am I the only one that might be a little worried about Love and Thunder?
I'm
not trying to be the curmudgeon.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm excited.
Why are you worried about it? I would love to know, honestly.
Sure.
Like, hit me.
It kind of feels like we're doing Thor going to find himself all over again. The first, if I remember right, when he first, the first Thor movie I loved. I mean, it was this great mix of sort of fish out of water humor and sort of the mythology and superhero, all that stuff. But if I remember right, wasn't he cast out, deemed unworthy because of his arrogance, and he had to go out and kind of find himself and realize who he was, and then he found himself to be worthy again, and he was going to lead Asgardians, and I think it was it Heimdall told him that Asgard is not a place, it's a people, and he had sort of swore to protect him, and now he's sort of handing it off, and he's going out to find himself again and live it up and not be a superhero until this bad thing happens, and then he's going to find himself again. I don't know. I just hope it's not that again, but just with a different shade,
Yeah. I think that all makes sense. It seems like they're really holding a lot back as far as what they've showed us in the trailer. So I'm very curious to see what it's going to be. And even if it's just Thor 1 redone by Taika Waititi, I'm in for that. So we'll see. And with that, I'm actually going to have to jump off the call, and I can't wait to hear the rest of what you'll say. But it's been fun.
Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah.
You see, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, it's valid fear, totally. I think that, first of all, again, what Andrew just said, Taika Waititi's at the helm. We got Jojo Rabbit. I mean, he's pretty incredible, typically across the board on everything he touches. I had a great time with Ragnarok, even though it really wasn't the Thor that I wanted to see. I still love the movie. You got Christian Bale in there. You got, I'm not a huge Lady Thor fan, but, I'll take it. I'm sure they'll do a great job with it. It'll be interesting. But the thing I think that's interesting that does separate it from Thor 1 Thor versus now Thor, this Thor has literally been stripped of everything. He's lost his father, his brother, his mother, his people. He's lost, he lost himself there at the end of Infinity War. Yeah. So I think there's definitely extra dimensions and layers there that is just, this guy's at rock bottom. And, he's starting from ground zero in a much different place than he did in Thor, so I suspect we'll get one more Thor movie after this and whatever team up movie there is. But I think Taika will have a trilogy when it's all said and done. And then they'll call it quits with Chris Hemsworth, or he will call it quits.
Yeah. And I love Taika's or Waititi, all of his original stuff, really. I like Thor Ragnarok, but it felt like it just sort of jarred with the rest of what we had seen of Thor to that point.
Oh, it's totally different. Yeah.
And same with Hulk. I mean, I was thinking, is this the same guy? And again, I don't want to, this is all just speculation because clearly we haven't seen it, but somebody in a movie, I can't wait to see what Waititi does with a story that features Gore the God Butcher, which is not a lightweight story by any stretch. So I hope they're going to do him justice, because man, that's a pretty heavy story with him. And I think we do get some images in those trailers that looks like that he understands that. And it looks like there's, I'm concerned, but I'm anxious to see kind of where it ends up. But
Have you read God Butcher and God Bomb?
God
Which
Butcher.
is okay. Well, if you haven't read God Bomb, it's the second
I
part of
haven't.
that.
I haven't.
And those two things together, it is by far my favorite Thor story of all time. It took some stuff and kind of gave it to him in an end game a little bit, some things that happens. But if they did that, and that's, I mean, I'm a little hurt too, because I'm like, when I see Gore the God Butcher, I think that story, and they're already kind of mixing other things in it that has nothing to do with that. But you're right. To me, that was the ultimate, like, tell this sprawling epic, like Lord of the Rings style kind of movie here. And we're not going to get that, but I'm hoping they still do something special and different with it,
Yeah, because he's a fascinating villain.
Oh, he's great. He's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm ready for that.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I think we should go ahead and wrap that up. This is fun. Again, thank you all for joining. This means a lot to me, like that we could do this and just connect and talk film. And I hope we can continue doing this down the road. And again, all of your information will be shared. We can post this on all our channels, and we'll share, links to everything. So with that, we'll just
thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's great.
Thank you.
We will exit the multiverse.